All right, so when we're working with Angular, a lot of the times we're going to be working with events because we want to be able to do certain things from the template. We want to call different functions and set different properties and all that. So there's different types of events, so I figured I'd break it up into separate lectures. In this lecture, we're going to look at click events, so clicking buttons, mouse overs, things like that. So we have our sandbox component here, and I'm just going to put in a button. Put in a button, and when you're working with events you want to use these parentheses, okay? And then in here we're just going to say click because that's the type of event that we want, okay? So when we click we want to call a function, and I'll just say fire event, okay? And that's a function that we're going to create, okay? Then we'll just close the button off, and in here we'll just say click event and save that. And then if I go and I click this, you'll see in the console we're going to get an error because it's looking for an event called a function called fire event. We don't have that. So let's go down in our component here in the class, and we'll say fire event. And then let's just do a console.log, and we'll say button clicked. Okay, we'll save that, and then if I click that down here, you'll see we get button click. So it's firing off that function that we created, this fire event. And you could obviously call this whatever you want. Now, whenever we fire off an event, we can pass in a value as a parameter. Well, first of all, we can pass in anything we want here. If we pass in, let's say, hello, and down here we have to add, let's say, greeting. We could call this whatever you want, and then we'll just comment that out. And whoops, and we'll do console log greeting, and now if I click that down here you'll see we get hello. Alright, now you can also pass in an event object. If we say money sign event, and then down here make sure we put something here. I'm just going to use E, and let's comment that out, and then in here we'll say E. And let's see what that gives us. If we click it, it gives us this object that has a whole bunch of stuff associated with it. A lot of this stuff I don't even understand, but like page X, page Y, that gives us the actual mouse position when the event was clicked. We can get the type of event. In this case, it's click. We can get target, which gives us information on the element that the event was attached to. So in this case, the button. So if we were to do console.log e.target and save that, and you see we get the actual element. Now if this had, for instance, an ID on it, we'll say ID btn, we could actually get that with e.target.id. And now if I click it, we get btn. And we could do whatever we want with that. If I wanted to alert it, and we click, we get an alert with btn. And we can also get the type. So if we want to do e.type, click that, and we get click. All right, so I'm just going to keep that as the functionality. When we click the button, it tells us the type of event that it is. And we're just going to get rid of the greeting here. So we'll just take in the event because I want to show you some of the other mouse events that we can use as well. So let's go ahead and copy this. So that's a click. We can also do a mouse over. And remember, this doesn't have to be just on a button. This can be on any element at all, a div or whatever, a list item, a link. So let's save that, and then I'm just gonna, oops, let's see, do I want all these shown at the same time? Yeah, I guess that's fine. So we'll change this to mouse over. Let's just put a line break in between these. And you guys can just use this as a reference. So if I go and I hover over it, I didn't click it, but you'll see it still ran, and it's still calling fire event, and it's telling us that it was a mouse over. All right. So another one is mouse down. I'm just going to copy that, and let's change this to mouse down. Change that. Actually, instead of putting the actual name in here, I'm just going to say. No, we'll just leave it, I guess. So we'll say mouse down here. So mouse down event. And now if I hover over it, nothing happens. If I click and hold, you'll see we get mouse down. All right, now for the click event, if I were to click and hold, nothing happens. It waits until we release because that's a click. A click is a, you know, push down and have it push back up. That's a click. Mouse down is just pushing down. And then we also have on the other side of it, we have mouse up. So if we were to change this to mouse up, all right, and then if we go over mouse up and I click and hold, nothing happens. When I release, then the event fires off. Another one we have is double click. You guys obviously know what a double click is. So let's change this. It's actually DBL click for short. And right here we'll just say double click. Save that, and now if I click once, nothing happens. I click twice and it fires off. All right, we also have drag. So let's copy that, and in here we're going to say drag. Change this to drag event. All right, so I believe if I hold it and I drag it, actually, how does this work? Yeah, I click it and I try pulling it out, and that's dragging. And you can see as I move, the event keeps firing off, which is pretty cool. We also have drag over. So let's change this to drag over event. And we just want to change this to drag over. And then if I click and hold outside of it and then I drag over it, actually, it doesn't matter if we click outside or not. As if we click and then we drag around. Wait a minute. There we go. All right, so now it's running every single time I move the mouse. So this gives you a good idea of the different types of mouse events that are available. So in the next video, I just want to quickly show you how we can do certain things with properties, with component properties through events. So if we want to show or hide something, things like that. All right, so that's what we'll get into in the next video.